Good evening, everyone. We're here at Lakewood Middle School where the Citizens Facilities Advisory Committee is presenting some of the findings that they've learned about since February. So these are some of the boards. Right now, these boards are about the learning environment. And I'm going to get a little closer to this one so you can see what some of it says. And we have Ian over here who's going to tell us a little bit about the learning environment. Can you tell us what some of these Post-its say? What did you do were these some things that you came up with as a group?
Yeah, so basically what we did was, as a team, we went through these three buildings, Lakewood Elementary, English Crossing, as well as here at the middle school, and just did kind of a general look at things, kind of a big picture view as to the facilities, how they're currently functioning, what isn't functioning, what's working, what needs to be fixed, repaired, replaced, just kind of big picture things. What are the spaces that we have adequate for what the needs currently are? Or are we trying to shoehorn programs into spaces that don't work for that? All those kinds of things, and then just also keeping in mind future growth, planning for that as well. And so after doing that, those three buildings, we just kind of had some general observations, which we wrote on sticky notes, and then summarized on the larger green note that's on each board.
So I see right now I'm looking at English Crossing Elementary School. What were some of the things that you talked about for English Crossing Elementary School?
So we talked about many things here. That generally the bones of the school are okay. The HVAC is a problem that comes up over and over again. The traffic situation is pretty bleak as far as all the other schools' traffic affects English Crossing. Parking is a challenge. Parent pickup, buses, and all that is a problem. There's a problem being as close as it is to middle school with the bus situation. Picking up middle school then takes up play area for recess time, the elementary school. So just those are the kinds of things we looked at. Just wondering what, that generally it's a welcoming school, but the pods need more light, the interior hallways are dark, kind of crowded, doesn't feel very inviting. Just kind of more of a freshening up situation is probably more what we'd be looking at this building. And then the multi-purpose room is really a challenge. Having a separate gym would be helpful just because, trying to have lunch is also during PE time, it doesn't really work.
Okay, and what about over here? And we're gonna look now at Lakewood Middle School. What were some of the things that you talked about at Lakewood Middle School? And we also...
So at Lakewood Middle School here, we talked about many things. I think one of the best features of the school is kind of the general entrance and courtyard area. It kind of makes a statement and feels welcoming, but generally that the school is pretty outdated in most situations. Hallways are narrow. There's not a real apparent gathering space for students when they have some extra time, perhaps at lunch. Right now that's in the courtyard, but that's also the entrance to the school, so that's kind of a function issue. Security is certainly a problem with buildings being so many different buildings with them being separate, lack of fencing. The office placement is something that is constantly talked about, in that people can't find it. They don't know where to go when they get there, and I can relate to that myself. I could not find it the first time I came here. I ended up in a complete other building, lost. And so just a general function issue here, outdatedness.
I think a lot of people can probably relate to that.
Yeah. So, we thought that of all the buildings, kind of this, the newer building is still probably fine, and even this building was okay if there was a way somehow to make these feel a little bit more put together, a little better flow. But then it's still the issue with narrow hallways, which doesn't work so great for middle schoolers, being rambunctious as they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we kind of missed Lakewood Elementary here, so let's head back over there.
So Lakewood Elementary, generally, we had some concerns about I think one of the biggest ones is just how disjointed the campus is, and how we've moved over into portables that used to be in the middle school, but now they're part of the elementary school, but they're still right next to each other. Where's the dividing line? There really isn't one. The bathroom situation for kids when they're outdoors is pretty tough when they're out here playing, and the outdoor bathrooms are right here, and they're small and only one person at a time is kind of an issue. Yeah.
And I think the reason, I know that there aren't as many Post-it notes on this one, I think that's because we just visited last week, is that right?
Yeah, that was our most recent visit, and I think
the posters were printed before that.
they may have been, but also just I think there was a general feeling of there's not a lot to say, just because of the overall situation being not so great. So.
All right, thanks, Ian.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We're gonna take that from you, microphone. We're gonna head over. Thank you. We're gonna head over here. And we are going to talk to Robbie, who is going to take this microphone.
All right.
And he's going to tell us a little bit about the learning campus planning.
Yes.
All right.
So, as our committee, one of the biggest things that we've been trying to focus on is the opportunity that we have that's actually really unique in the educational space. We have, 4 schools on the same piece of property. Obviously, Cougar Creek's off kind of by itself, but wanting to, number one, see all the options that we have, see everything that is going on the campus, from the conditions of all the buildings, the programs that we have, but then looking at it holistically as an entire campus of what are the opportunities that we have to invest in the future of Lakewood, but also take what we have, which is good, and we have some good elements, but then what investments can we make to kind of take it to that next level, invest in the next 30, 40, 50 years in campus, just like our predecessors invested in some great buildings for us 30, 40, 50 years ago. So some of the ideas, based on the tours that we've taken and the condition assessments that we've looked at, is potentially looking kind of short-term and long-term, is there's specific needs at English Crossing with one of the biggest challenges they have is the heating and air conditioning systems not being very efficient, not working, but then also them not really having an adequate playground, and also being kind of off by themselves from a traffic standpoint, and kind of being left in the dark anytime there's a traffic jam behind them. And then they really struggle with their lunch services, being able to adequately have their peak times, but also their physical education, as well as trying to get all the people through lunches and give them adequate time to do that. So potentially you know, adding a gym or adding some space to help alleviate some of those needs. Investing in the heating and air conditioning systems in this building. And then thinking kind of bigger would be the middle school. The middle school is definitely the building that needs probably the most in terms of an investment from the community, because it's, you know, with our projected growth, we just don't have more space there. Everything's kind of capped out. We can't even have the entire community of that school in the same room at the same time. So assemblies have to be split. So as well as a lot of the programs they have don't have a space that they need to actually adequately you know, have the programs in place that they're wanting to have and trying to have. So we thought, what if we could relocate the new middle school somewhere on the campus, you know, up here, and then repurpose this school to move the elementary school, so Lakewood, into this facility with some minor upgrades to convert it to an elementary school. And then we could use the efficiencies of being on the same campus with, or the same area as English Crossing, with potentially upgrading a gym for both of them to solve both problems. Upgrading their playground area to solve, you know, be an add to English Crossing, as well as the security. We could help focus with campus security by isolating them and doing things around those two schools. One of the other needs that the district has is our district offices, if you've ever visited them, are pretty inadequate for what we need as a community. So you could take the four buildings that, you know, we have 4 buildings up here, 1 building for the district here, the transportation. We could actually move them into Lakewood Elementary School's main structure. Take the portables out, take the old additions that were added, or some of the original buildings from that building, and then actually, you know, make more parking area, do some stuff for the middle school, you know, potential middle school there. But then we could reuse some of these buildings that we have, just repurpose them, be a lot more efficient with the finances, the money that we potentially need to have to do that. This would also help by doing some of these things. We could actually help with the traffic flow by reallocating where the buses go. One of the things that we thought about was potentially adding a new, you know, extending the road in between the high school. So, you know, when we do the seniors walk at the end of the year, we could have kind of a Lakewood Boulevard almost thing where, you know, the community can get wrapped around it. We could have awesome space for all the schools to feel that they, you know, are part of the community, the Lakewood community. Again, lots of possibilities. You need a lot of input, so please come to the next meetings.
Yeah, I can tell that there's a lot of out-of-the-box thinking here, which is really great. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on the Post-it notes so I can read the Post-it notes a little better. See some of these.
I think as you're looking at these, one of the main things that we're trying to develop as a holistic approach to the campus is bringing everyone together, becoming a community. You know, we are Lakewood. We're not Marysville. We're not Arlington. Even though we're all kind of part of those communities, we are our own thing. And I think we need to celebrate that. And this is a place where we can invest in our community and you know, have that identity as well.
Thanks so much, Robbie.
Yeah.
You guys are doing 2 in a row. Oh, I'm so glad you missed it. Alive in a video. I don't like me, I can't. What is this?
This is a microphone.
I like Go for it, Cap.
We're going to hear from Kathy and Sequinder.
We're too camera. We really can't.
Well, let's see. How about I start and you can tell me where I'm wrong. How about that?
No, I just.
So
Someone comes by.
so right now we're looking at the current and forecast enrollment
Okay.
projections.
So we're looking at this is from back in 2016, and we're here in 2022.
So this is kind of
And this is representing the whole school district. This is broken down in different grades. But we're already seeing the scenes right now at 2,500 and some odd. So we're just trying to project the growth here. There's a little leeway in that, but 2,790. So right now, it's projected to be 263 over, which would equate to at least 11, 12 classrooms, some supporting buildings. So right now we're just trying to gather information.
lock up the
We're going to
buildings
be talking more about
at the middle school
solutions.
is darn near
So
impossible.
we're just sharing information tonight.
Or English Crossing.
This is great. And what do the different colors mean?
Lakewood Elementary is
Why are some of them darker red than others?
I mean,
Good
just one of the
question.
things
Do you
where
remember
this
why they're different
portable,
colors?
Which is supposed to be, these two are supposed to be for the middle school, but they're
I actually don't remember that.
Is it because it's higher than the average, maybe?
So
Could be.
I think those are some of the higher ones.
the office has to call here.
So let's see, that's from 2022 is the one that's in dashes. So that's where we're at this year.
I think this is how I did, just because this is where we're at right now and project.
They're not even.
And then in 2027, which is in 5 years from now,
This school's in pretty good shape.
we're expecting to see 9.4% growth.
But, and in their food service and how they
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
PE being in the same space on all these. So he wrote PE in the same space.
Seeing all the places that we drop, all the trash.
It's just that because it's and 9%.
Hi, we are here to talk to Lindsay about facility condition survey. Lindsay and Peter about the facility condition survey.
Oh. All right, so this is kind of our baseline for how each individual building is. So you've got everything kind of graded between excellent, good, fair, poor, and unsatisfactory. Most of it because of, we have a really good facilities and maintenance team here. Everything's in pretty good shape, but you can kind of see as you go across the board, there are issues with plumbing and HVAC and electrical that in some of the older buildings like LES and LMS that kind of need to be addressed at some point.
And then also know anywhere that there's a 90 or 100, it might actually be that the score is a 91 or 98, but it just fell to the 90. So as you can see, there's a lot of 90s on the high school, but of course the high school's brand new. So a lot of those might be actually more like a 98. And then on the top, it also provides the years of the building. So as you can see, the middle school has a lot more older systems. Some of the systems aren't always compatible. So we might have buildings that have more heat and other buildings are cooler. So these numbers give a pretty good projection of what we've found so far needs to be fixed and maybe different areas that we can shift around for financing and making improvements.
Great, so we have the high school name up at the top, so LHS, LMS, LES, CCE for Cougar Creek and English Crossing. And then we have everything from foundations to furnishings that they went through and rated. So these are the most recent ratings. Thank you.
So you would have left middle school the year in 1999 as a teacher.
And I think that we've actually been to all of the boards now, so we are going to sign off from the Citizens Facilities Advisory Committee community meeting, and let us know if you have any questions. We look forward to seeing you at the next community meeting.